We bought our home about 3 years ago, and it was a raised ranch built in the early 2000s. In the last 3 years, we've spent quite a bit of time making it ours, updating the paint colors. And one of the things that we really like to do is look at what's available for lighting options. We don't necessarily want, like this one, this light is pretty much a centerpiece over our table. But there are some rooms that you really don't care what the light looks like, as long as it puts off some good light. One of the rooms that we really don't care what the light looks like aesthetically, we actually want it to blend into the ceiling. We don't really even want to be able to see it. Is our laundry room. It's also our boiler room and mechanical room. We don't necessarily care what the light looks like. However, we want some good light. So what we have here is a boob light. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to really how bad this light is, not just aesthetically, but also how horrible it is to maintain. Constantly going through light bulbs. We had one in this little hallway out here that took a different sized bulb than the rest of the stuff. So the lights in our house, we actually have 5 different bulbs that we have to keep on hand so that we can put into these lights. This doesn't make any sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this boob light, and we're going to put a light in here that makes sense. So what we're going to be installing today is this commercial electric 6-inch slim LED. This is a color changing recessed kit. This light allows you to pick your color, and not as in red and blue and whatever, but as in soft or bright white or warm white. That allows you to use this specific light in many different applications. We're going to use it in here. It's probably going to be a pretty bright white, but if we wanted to use this in our family room, we could soften that light up a little bit. The advantage to that, if we keep a couple of these on hand, it allows us to get rid of all the light bulbs we have underneath the sink, and we can change this out anywhere in the house and select that same color setting. This is what it looks like. It's a very thin recessed light. Okay, we're going to show you how that goes in, and that is going to blend in perfectly with the ceiling. Okay, we decided to get the very flush lens instead of the recessed lens. We think this is just going to look a little bit better. And really, you don't want to notice the light fixture when you come into a room. You just want to notice the room and let the light do its work, okay, without seeing it. So the tools that you're going to need for this is really not very many. I used a jigsaw to cut the hole. These need to go into just over a 6-inch hole. There's a template that comes with it. Make that mark on the ceiling. I just used the jigsaw to cut the hole in the hallway. Now, what I'm going to do with this one is with this room is I'm going to use this drywall saw. And the reason I'm going to use this is because all my water lines run in this ceiling. Okay, I do not want a jigsaw to get nick a water line or something like that. So I may use this drywall saw once I get the ceiling opened up. I'm going to use a drill with a Phillips bit and some wire strippers. And the last tool you're going to need is some way to get to the ceiling. All right, so let's do this. So the first thing that you need to do is shut off the light. Make sure you don't have any power. So the next thing I'm going to do is get rid of the boob part of this light. And as we can see, we have the old kind of lights in here that are notorious for starting a fire. Careful, that's hot. Now, at about every step of this, I'm going to take my trusty circuit tester, see that it's green, and I'm going to check just to make sure that I don't have any power. Okay. Could I have the drill, please? Thank you. There's 2 screws that hold this fixture to the ceiling. So I'm going to take those out and let the fixture just hang. All right, so we're going to check power on all of these lines here, okay? I really don't want to get electrocuted today, so I think we're good. All right, so this has conventional wire nuts on it. You're just going to twist the wire nuts off. And then for this particular light fixture, and just pull those apart. For this particular light fixture, can I have the drill, please? The ground is actually screwed into the mounting plate for this light fixture. So I'm going to get rid of that, get rid of the light. What I'm left with is my hot wire, which is black, my white one, which is neutral, and the copper one is my ground. Now, I still have a little bit of this fixture mounting hardware to get out of here, so I will just use my drill to get that out of the way. And if you're left with a box, an electrical box here, it really depends on what your ceiling looks like, how that box was installed. I've got 2 screws on this one, so I'm just going to pull those out, see what happens. Okay, good. So in my ceiling, these 2 screws just had this wing on there that held the box above the sheetrock. So taking those 2 screws out allowed me to get this box out of the way. Because these lights do not need, they do not need an electrical box, and I'll show you why momentarily. Now, the first thing I want to do is kind of reach up in there and make sure I don't have any water lines. I talked about that before. I do have a floor joist here for my upstairs floor. I'm not concerned with that because there is strapping. Strapping is thin pieces of board that are nailed to the floor stringers above so that you can hang the sheetrock. But what that allows you is just about a ½ an inch of gap between the floor joist and the sheetrock, okay? So I have no water lines here, so I will be using my jigsaw to cut this. And what I want to do is momentarily tuck this wire up in there because I really want a good mark, okay? I'm going to take the template that's provided with the new light, and I'm going to line that up. Knowing that I have a floor joist right here, I want to be just off center of that just a little bit. It doesn't matter that it's in the way actually, but I do not want it right in the center. So I'm going to draw a circle around that. Okay. And I'll try the drywall saw first. So I'm going to use this first just to show you how kind of how that works. It's really dusty. All of this is dusty. You could use a big hole saw, but I just figured I'd use this. I can't cut that circle all the way around with this because I got a floor joist right there, okay? So I can either try and use this shallow, or I may use my jigsaw, which has a shallower blade anyway. And the jigsaw it is. For this one, I'm just going to kind of keep it tipped back a little bit so that I'm not penetrating all the way into my floor joist. Gow! I'm going to pull my wire back out. Let me get my wire strippers. Because these were wire nutted up, I just want to make sure that they're straight. Like this one has got a little bit of a curve to it where it was in the wire nut, so I will just re-strip that. Make sure I got a nice, good, clean connection. Same thing on the ground. I got a straight one there. All right, so this box has a little cover, and that is why you do not need to have an electrical box up in there, because that's what this is. So I'm going to take the knockout on the end. I'm going to take that knockout out so that I can feed my wires through. Now, the good thing, and if you just bend that up like that, it'll hold the box for you. Now, the good thing about these lights is they have these little push connectors, so I don't need to wire nut. So, green to ground, push that in there till it clips in there good. White to white, push it all the way in. Okay, make sure it grabs a hold of it good. And then my black. All right, and then I'm very carefully going to tuck these wires back into this electrical box. Close the cover, stick it up in here like this. Okay, and then you take your light. She is already, my helper that is, has already selected what color we want on this. And she went with, ooh, you went with the brightest one.
I need to see to fold your laundry.
She needs to see to fold my laundry, I guess. So, all right, let's come in here and get a suntan later on. All right, so you're just gonna line these up, plug them in, and screw this little cap to hold them together. Okay, two little springy deals on the back of this. Push one up in. Gonna flip this one all the way open so it goes up above the sheetrock. And there we go. Now what you're gonna find is that these don't sit exactly flush. There's a very, and I'm talking a less than a 1/16 of an inch ridge right here. If that bothers you, you can take the gasket out that comes with this, because these are rated for wet areas. I don't mind it too much. And then what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come in here and clean up this area where the old light was, just with some general purpose cleaner and a paper towel. So, all right, helper, hit that light. Whew, boy, that's a lot brighter. Okay, so as you can see, that's a lot better light. It is a pretty harsh light. It's very bright white, but in a utility laundry room, it's perfect. So let me show you what it looked like before. You can really see a difference. What'd that take, 10 minutes?
10.
Yeah, about 10 minutes. And the good thing is if I need to switch that out, I just pull it down, unscrew that little connector, plug a new light into it, put it back up. Just as easy as changing a light bulb, in my opinion. So our next project is going to be adding 4 4-inch recessed lights of the same manufacturer, the same procedure, and this time we're going to have to wire into the ceiling because there's not already lights there. So if you want to catch that video, it'll be coming out later today. All right, thanks for watching.